Former Trump White House Chief of Staff Mark Meadows reportedly offering damning testimony against the former president to Special Counsel Jack Smith in exchange for...
Hello everyone. Today, we have an event on our hands that made even our cynical political world lose its mind. Imagine this: a federal courtroom, silence, everything serious, and then Mark Meadows, Donald Trump's former chief of staff, a man who for a minute there was in the room when the country's fate was being decided, puts on a show. I'm not talking about insightful testimony, I'm talking about a full-blown meltdown that ended with security literally dragging him out of the room. You heard that right. This man, who saw the entire White House kitchen, who survived the chaos, who seemed to have learned how to keep a poker face during nuclear war, simply snapped. Mark Meadows. Remember, he's the guy they said, all roads lead to him. And now that Jack Smith's prosecutors seem to have found those roads, he turned the court into a political spectacle, screaming at prosecutors about a witch hunt and political persecution orchestrated by the Biden regime. Well, at least he didn't forget all the old classics, but there's a brilliant, in my opinion, twist here. This tantrum isn't just a burst of hot emotion, it's a legal self-inflicted gunshot. Meadows is fighting for immunity, claiming, "I was just doing my job as chief of staff. My actions were official duties." His lawyers are painting a picture of a calm, professional official. But here's the rub. Prosecutors are presenting evidence that he didn't just advise. He coordinated schemes to pressure officials to overturn the election. That, you know, sounds a lot more like criminal tourism than an official trip. And here, Mark Meadows, instead of behaving like a professional who is being unfairly prosecuted, starts screaming and lets security escort him out. This doesn't look like a heroic fight for the Constitution. It looks like the panic of a man who realized the train of justice is approaching too fast. Lawyers are simply holding their heads. Try to convince a judge that you acted within the scope of professional duties when your behavior in court is a hysterical outburst. Professional officials don't scream about witch hunts. Their job is to be boring, calm, and measured. This is a disaster for his image, and it screams one thing: he is terrified. Now, for the most interesting part, why is this bad for Trump? First, Meadows isn't just a witness, he's the sapphire witness. Rumor has it he's already testified before Smith and more than once, and he allegedly said that back in 2020, he warned Trump that all the talk of significant fraud was utter nonsense. It turns out his public fight for Trump and his book, where he promised to set the record straight, were just political theater. But under oath, he seems to have decided it's better to save his own skin than his former boss's face. This directly destroys Trump's defense that he sincerely believed in the fraud. No, Mr. President, your own chief of staff told you otherwise. Second, this further fractures the Republican Party. Trump loyalists, of course, will cry about proof of political warfare, but moderate Republicans who are trying to look respectable before the elections will quietly step aside. After all, do they need a candidate whose main aid is causing a circus in court? This once again fuels the narrative of chaos and a criminal enterprise, not stable governance. Third, this is a precedent. Everyone in Trump's circle is watching now and thinking, if Meadows' immunity doesn't hold up, what awaits me? This incident is not just a scandal. It's a lesson for all high-ranking officials. Being close to the president is not an automatic indulgence. So, we have a tantrum that undermined a legal strategy, the most valuable witness who likely flipped on his boss, and a fracture in the party. A former chief of staff is being pulled from a federal courtroom like a drunk from a bar. This is a live feed from the uncharted territory of American politics. The question now is, can the system withstand this test? Will a line be drawn between official duties and a crime? Because when someone as high-ranking as Mark Meadows loses his composure, it means the stakes are higher than ever. This isn't just about his legal problems. It's about whether powerful people in America can be held accountable or if they are truly untouchable. And it looks like we'll get an answer soon. Stay with us because things are about to get even more interesting. Next time, we'll talk about what happens if all these trials actually lead to convictions, what that will mean for Trump, for his party, and whether American politics can recover from such a shock.